Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Arirang Newsbreak. It's Wednesday, July 13th here in Korea, and live from Seoul, I'm Han-daeun. We'll begin with the latest on the THAAD deployment, a huge military announcement that's rattling much of South Korea. Seoul and Washington have reached agreement on the deployment location, and we've already heard the missile defense system will be placed in Seongju, Gyeongsangbuk-do province. South Korean Defense Ministry is expected to make an official announcement on the THAAD location shortly, and we're expecting more details on why Seongju County has been chosen and the impact it'll have on area residents. Vice Defense Minister Hwang In-moo and other government and military officials have already headed down to Seongju to explain the THAAD plan to provincial government officials there. South Korean and U.S. forces have reportedly agreed that the site is suitable for military operations and also chose it because the area is sparsely populated. According to military officials, the THAAD battery in Seongju will place the main U.S. military bases in Pyeongtaek and Daegu within its operational range, which will reach as far as Gyeongdae, Chungcheongnam-do province, where South Korea's military headquarters is located. The port city of Busan and the surrounding southern cities will also be included in its range. The deployment is not expected to be smooth sailing, though. Area residents in Seongju County are already staging large-scale protests, voicing strong opposition to the deployment. Their main concern is safety, especially the electromagnetic waves from its radar system. Lawmakers are also sharply divided on the issue, with the opposition parties still expressing their strong objections to the military's unilateral decision as well as the rush to the announcement. We will get full coverage on the Defense Ministry's announcement in our evening newscast. We now get more on the political division on the THAAD deployment plan. Arirang's Kim Young-gil at the National Assembly this afternoon.
The ruling Saenuri Party said the deployment of the advanced U.S. missile defense system was inevitable and urged the opposition parties to cooperate in supporting the move.
The THAAD deployment is in South Korea's interest and security. The rival parties should cooperate. If North Korea ends its nuclear and missile provocations, then we can pull out of the THAAD deployment.
The main opposition Minju Party of Korea said it will launch a THAAD committee within the party to discuss the issue.
We must come up with detailed countermeasures concerning the diplomatic and economic problems stemming from the THAAD deployment. Our party has decided to form a THAAD committee with our floor leader Woo Sang-ho leading it.
The minor opposition People's Party also questioned why the government had to go ahead with the THAAD deployment, given the potential for diplomatic fallout with China and Russia.
We've heard that South Korea's foreign affairs minister was against the THAAD deployment due to the possible diplomatic friction with neighboring countries. It is also likely that the U.S. could have pressured the presidential office of Cheongwade.
The opposition parties pressured the government to properly address the social, economic, and diplomatic issues stemming from the deployment plan. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
On the economic front, Korea's job market showed a slight improvement in June after 2 months of sluggishness. Statistics Korea says the country added more than 350,000 jobs last month from a year ago, bringing the total number of employed to around 26.6 million. The agency attributed the pickup to a base effect from higher employment in the service sector, hit hard by the MERS outbreak last year. But the good news was limited. The government's ongoing corporate restructuring drive is taking a toll on related industries, especially manufacturing. The sector added 15,000 workers in June from a year ago, a stark contrast to the 50,000 added on year in May. On top of that, the youth jobless rate reached 10.3%, the highest for the month of June since 1999. Tensions continue to rise between the world's two superpowers, the United States and China, over an international tribunal's ruling on the South China Sea dispute. Kwon So-ah has the latest from the Foreign Ministry.
The ruling on the South China Sea dispute is final and legally binding on both China and the Philippines. This was the U.S. reaction to the tribunal ruling in The Hague Tuesday, which brought victory to the Philippines, which filed the case 3 years ago, as well as other Southeast Asian countries involved in increasingly tense maritime disputes with Beijing. U.S. State Department spokesperson John Kirby said the U.S. hopes and expects that China and the Philippines will comply with their obligations. He called for all parties to refrain from provocative statements or actions, expressing hope that the ruling will be an opportunity to deal with disputes in a peaceful manner from here on. Kirby said the U.S. has persistent concerns about China's militarization of the South China Sea.
We have seen some signs in recent weeks that some of that activity continues, and we have been, again, very consistent, very clear with our Chinese counterparts about our ongoing concerns in that regard.
Those concerns may linger, though, and even grow into bigger diplomatic rows, as China, which did not attend Tuesday's tribunal, immediately repeated its stance that it won't comply with the ruling. The Chinese government released a statement saying China was the first to, quote, discover, name, explore, and exploit the South China Sea islands and their surrounding waters. According to the UN tribunal ruling, China has no historic or economic legal basis for its expansive claim over around 90% of the South China Sea. South Korea's foreign ministry said Wednesday it's taking notice of the ruling and hopes that through this momentum, the South China Sea dispute will be settled through peaceful and creative diplomatic efforts. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
And that does it for now, but keep it tuned to Arirang for more on the South Korean Defense Ministry's announcement on the THAAD deployment plan and other top headlines. Thank you for watching.